We're at 9:31 now. I'm sure some people will be, straggling in here in the next couple minutes, but I have a ton of announcements, so I want to go ahead and get started. Um, so right here, I'm starting at the top of our agenda with our business items. So I'm just going to mute you guys for just a second while I go over all this kind of stuff. So your TCAP dates. That's next week, believe it or not. Now, some of you I know are not taking TCAP and have already got the form that your parents need to fill out, and they sent that to me, and that's great. But if you are not, um, well, I should just say, if I have not received that form, then I expect that I will see you at TCAP. And so I've linked this document with the times, what you need to bring. Obviously the dates, and of course the address, another important fact there. So, those of you who took it last year with us, it's at the same place. You get out a little bit earlier this year, so that's good news. And just like last year, you have to bring, some food and snacks and books and things to do if you finish early. Okay, so that's all I'm going to go into as far as TCAP. It's, like I said, it's linked for you right here, so you can find that easily. Then, because of TCAP, and this is K through 12, virtual classroom schedules get kind of messed up during TCAP testing. So March 3rd is next Monday, and March 10th is 2 Mondays from now. And so we have kind of a different schedule. What we're going to be doing on those days is you're going to come on either one or the other, not both, unless you're a fifth grader. Fifth graders might have to come twice. And that's because fifth graders are going to be doing a little interview for their Young Ameritown. So fifth graders know what I'm talking about. And if you don't know what that is, then that's just fine. You'll figure it out one day. Anyway, so here is your March 3rd and 10th schedule. So I'll just kind of briefly show it to you. So just for instance, if you are, let's say you're Sienna, you will come on March 3rd from 9:30 to 10:15. And what we're going to be doing is going over your scores that you just did for your performance task um, assessment that you did on the Olympics. Okay. If you are, let's just say you're Emma, you're going to come at 10:15 on that day. So hopefully you can kind of figure out the colors there. On March 10th, let's just pretend you're Tyler. You're going to come at 9:30, and that's what you'll be doing. We'll be going over your scores. Let's just say you're Lucas. That day you'll come at 10 o'clock. Then here are the interviews for those fifth graders who are doing Young Ameritown. So those are the times that you will be showing up for your interview in a virtual classroom on March 10th. So let me turn on your microphones and ask you if there's any questions so far on some of these business items that are kind of important.
Um, my question is, will we have BCs next week still?
Well, yeah, that's what I was just showing you. We have one on March 3rd, which is Monday. Um, we will not have one on Thursday, and that's because, well, we're going to be testing. So can't do two things at once. And then the following Monday, we will have that virtual classroom as well. But remember, you might not have to come to both. So you need to just check that schedule and make sure that you find your name and find your time. Okay? All right.
Okay.
So
you're saying it's at the end of this contract.
Getting some background noise. So if you have somebody in your background, make sure you mute yourself. Then, most of you have done this, but I have a couple people, and you're going to be getting a rubric from me that says, please complete. If you have not finished your Olympics performance task project, you need to do so like today and send it to me. Then, a lot of you have already done this survey, but if you have not, I need you to take this survey that's linked right here. It's short, it's sweet, but it's just something that I need you to do. All right, questions so far on the first three things? No, okay.
Sorry.
That's all right. Okay, so
You're
then,
tight.
here we go. Here's the really exciting kind of cool stuff. And so I'm getting some background noise from somebody. Who is that?
Sorry.
That's okay.
I'm
Just
just putting away my calendar.
oh, okay. Well, just yeah, that's fine. Mute
Yes.
yourself or whatever if there's something going on. Um,
Okay.
so we have upcoming field trips and experiential learning opportunities. Really fun stuff. So on April 2nd, we're going to be, and that's a Wednesday, believe it or not. I get to get out of a meeting that I'm usually in all day on
So it
Wednesday.
doesn't even look like they have training in their document. I think they started taking that out.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and just mute everybody because somebody has a mom or something in the background. April 2nd, we have the Denver Zoo, and I will send out more details. I know that we're going to be meeting at like 9:30 in the morning. Okay. All right. April 8th. Now, this is really cool. We are going to be doing an art and science thing with the Denver Museum of Nature and Science. And we're going to be drawing and learning a lot about Jupiter's moon, Titan. So it's really cool. It's art and science kind of like combined together. And we're going to do that in the Cantrell classroom from 2 to about 3:30 p.m. And there's no cost. Now, I know for some of you who can't travel, um, what I'm going to try to do is get them to use GoToMeeting. So maybe we can all be on there, whether or not you're in person. I will let you know as soon as they get back to me.
Yeah, then I could be there finally.
Exactly, exactly. So that's my whole point is I'm trying to get them to use GoToMeeting so that if you can't travel, then you'd still get to participate. Okay. Woo! All right. That was a ton of announcements. Are we ready to well, for those of you who are taking TCAP, are we ready to start a little bit of practice? Yes.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah, sure. Okay. We're excited, I'm sure. All right. So one of the things that is probably the hardest, and our scores, and this is across the district, not just our school, but scores are, it seems like always lowest in writing. So we're going to watch a couple lessons on narrative type of writing, that's fiction writing, and then persuasive type of writing, that's nonfiction type of writing. Those are what I have seen in all the years that I've administered TCAP. Those are what I see the most of. So anyway, they're good lessons. Hopefully you have like a notebook and a pencil nearby, so when it comes time to start planning, you can kind of follow along with them and do that with them. All right, so after writing,
I've got a notebook. I have to find a pencil.
yeah, great. So just hopefully some of you can run and grab, something to write on really quickly. After we do a little bit of writing practice, we'll play a little reading game. And if we have time, we'll write about these images. Those of you who remember last year, it's very similar. It's pretty fun. Okay. Whew, deep breath. Give me a happy face in the chat if we're all ready to begin. All right. Okay. All right. So we hopefully have some paper and pencil nearby. We're going to start with narrative writing. That's your fictional type of story writing. So here we go. What I like about these lessons too is they apply to fourth, fifth, sixth graders. They're good. So
How do you know what a writing prompt is asking you to do? In this lesson, you will learn how to read and understand what a prompt requires by underlining keywords and deciding if you need to write narrative or essay. Let's review. There are 3 steps in the writing process. Number 1 is to generate ideas. Step 2 is to write drafts, and step 3 is to revise and edit. We're going to be in step 1. A common mistake that you might make is rushing to start writing and not taking the time to figure out exactly what a prompt is asking you to do.
that's true.
I'm going to follow these steps. Number 1, read the prompt. Number 2, underline keywords. And number 3, ask yourself, do I need to write narrative or an essay. All right, so let's read the prompt that we're going to be responding to. Our prompt says, imagine that one day during recess, you and a friend stumble across a wooden box hidden under some leaves. The box has a lock on it and appears to be very old. Write a story that tells what happens next. Now, we need to underline the key words in the prompt. Keywords are verbs, things that I'll need to do. Circling the keywords helps you make sure you respond to all parts of the prompt. So here's the prompt again. Now I see that it says,
Okay, guys, so what are the verbs? What do we need to underline so far? You could just shout them out. How about the very first word, imagine?
Oh, Miss Bruns,
Yes?
can you make it bigger, please?
I can try. Sometimes it gets kind of weird when I make it go full screen, but I'll try.
Oh.
imagine you stumble across a wooden box. Imagine is something I have to do. So I'll underline imagine. It's a verb. So when I kept reading, I also saw it says write a story. I've underlined that because that's also something that I need to do. So now because I have underlined the keywords, I have a pretty good idea of what I need to do. I'll need to brainstorm some ways I could finish the story, and then I'll need to write what happens next. The last thing I need to do is figure out if I need to write an essay or a narrative. So let's see. I need to ask myself, what clues are there in the prompt? Well, I see it says imagine and says, well, now write a story. These tell me that I need to write a narrative.
Okay, and some of you might be wondering, well, what does narrative mean? Narrative stories mean you are in the story. You can use things, words like I, me. You put yourself into the story, okay? So you're pretending that you're in there. All right, so
Okay.
I think that one's pretty easy. We're gonna move on. So I'm kind of like skipping the end of some of these easier parts to move on to bigger stuff that we need to know. Okay, so now everybody who has taken TCAP can probably remember they will give you a space, especially when you have the big writing prompt, a space to plan. And you will lose points if you don't plan. So, what you're looking at right here is an example of one of them. So, let's learn a little more.
How do you figure out what you're going to write about? In this lesson, you will generate a storyline by making a web of middle/end ideas and choosing the one you can picture best in your head. Let's review. This is the prompt that we're doing. Imagine that one day during recess, you and a friend stumble across a wooden box hidden under some leaves. The box has a lock on it and appears to be very old. Write a story that tells what happens next. We also figured out that we're going to have to do two things to answer this prompt. We're going to have to imagine, and we're going to have to write a story, a narrative. Okay. A common mistake that you might make is choosing an idea that you like but can't picture in your head very well. All right, today I'm going to follow these steps. Number 1, identify what the prompt is asking you to write about and brainstorm some ideas.
Very important to not skip
2,
that.
write each idea in a web. And number 3, play the movie in your mind for each idea. Choose the one that you can picture best. Okay, the first thing I need to do to start my planning is figure out what I need to write about. All right, so this prompt is asking me to come up with a middle and an end for this situation. So I'm going to brainstorm. So what are some things that could happen if I found a wooden box at recess?
Okay, so I'm going to pause there and ask you guys that same question. What are some things that might happen next if you find a wooden box during recess? You could just shout them out. What are some things that
I
might happen?
I would try and I would try and open the box.
Okay.
And maybe it couldn't work.
Oh,
Or
okay.
it could work and could be like something magical inside of it.
All right, so that's one idea. Adam, did you have a different idea?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Well, what I would do is open it and see what's inside it because you never know if it can be any gold or I don't know, something or
Something interesting might be
or a
inside.
map to something or
Good.
A
Or
map to
even a
treasure
map.
chest.
And I'm getting a couple ideas in the chat that I'll just reiterate. Grace Elizabeth said that, oh, I just lost it. Sorry. She said you could find out who the box belongs to. Lucas said that he might leave it alone. Tyler V says maybe it would be a curse. um, let's see. Claire said that she would try to open it. Sienna said that she'd look for a nearby key, and if she can't find it, she'd bring a screwdriver to kind of pry open the box. So this is good. You have basically your next steps that what might happen.
Key.
So I'm going to put those ideas in this web right here. In the middle is going to be we find a box then. That's our beginning. Let's see.
Maybe you can draw
What could I
this at
put
home.
in my web? Well, maybe right when I'm about to open it, a mysterious man shows up and takes it from us. So I'll write that down. I'll come with at least two more so I can really choose the best one. Maybe we could open it and find buried treasure. It would be famous as the youngest people to ever find treasure. I'll write that down too. And last, let's see. Oh, we could just find that it's empty. We could decide to put a time capsule in it.
Ooh, those are all
Okay,
cool.
so now that I have my ideas, I'll need to decide which one I should pick. All right, I'm going to do that by playing a movie in my mind of each idea. The one I'll choose is the one I can picture best with the most details. Okay, so here's my web again. So the first idea, I'm having a lot of trouble picturing lots of details because I can't really think of what would happen after this mysterious man takes it. So I'm not going to do that one. All right, so the second one. Wow, I can picture opening up the buried treasure and being dazzled by all these jewels. I can also see how excited I'd be. This is definitely a possibility. Okay, so let's see. I'm trying to picture the last event in my head, but I really can't picture any sensory details that'd be interesting to read about. I'm not sure what I'd put into a time capsule either. So I'll cross that one out too. All right, so I'm going to choose the buried treasure idea because I can picture it the best. I feel like this is the best idea that I have the most background knowledge about and could come up with lots of sensory details. So I'm going to circle that one. All right, did you see what I did? I followed these steps. Number one, identify what the prompt is asking you to write about and bring.
And okay, so I think we understand the steps. When she's saying sensory details are things that you can imagine seeing, smelling, tasting, basically using your five senses or hearing. So she thinks that the one that she chose is probably the most interesting and can have the most details. You might disagree. I kind of thought the time capsule would be cool, but it's whatever you guys think.
I think the mystery man would have been the coolest.
Yeah, and so yeah, and that's all very personal. If you can think of the most details when you play the movie in your mind, then that's the one you would write about. Okay, so I'm going to move on because she kind of takes forever. So you guys with me so far? Sticking in
Yep.
there? Okay,
Yep.
good.
Yep.
How do you organize your thoughts when writing to a prompt? In this lesson, you will plan your writing by using boxes and bullets to organize each part of your narrative.
And so
Yeah.
notice there's a lot of different ways you can plan your writing, and none of them are right and none of them are wrong. They're all just very personal. Some people like to make webs, some people like to use bullet points, some people like to use T charts. A plan is a plan. As long as you have a plan, then I think you're good.
All right, let's review. This is the prompt that we're going to be writing to. Imagine that one day during recess, you and a friend stumble across a wooden box hidden under some leaves.
Yes, we know.
And not thinking about what details you will use to show the reader what happens. All right, today I'm going to follow these steps. Number 1, make a box for the beginning. Step 2, in the box, write what happens in the beginning. Step 3, below the box, put bullets telling how you show that event. Sensory details, dialogue, etc.
The things that
And
make it
step
interesting,
4,
basically.
repeat for the middle and the end.
Okay.
All right, so this plan that I'm going to make is my roadmap. So it's going to help me see where I need to go, as well as keep me on track when I'm writing. So I'm going to make a box, and I'm going to label it the beginning. So my story is about finding an old wooden box at recess. So the prompt already gave me the beginning right there. So I'm going to put that in the first box. Okay, so while out at recess, my friend Carolyn and I find an old box buried in some leaves. Okay, what I've just written is the what. Now I'm going to show the reader this event, and I'll do it with bullets below my box. So I need to ask myself some questions. I need to ask myself, what would I see, smell, hear, or say? I'm going to have to be creative. Okay.
So all of these type of sensory details will add interest to your story.
All right, so if there's leaves on the ground, they're going to be real crunchy. So I think I want to add that as one of my sensory details. Let's see, I'm going to add some more. So I can also picture what it'd be like to touch the box. Oh, it's dirty and dusty. And I'm also thinking about what I would say. I'd probably say to Carolyn, whoa, do you see that over there before I touch the box? Let me make sure I write these in order. All right, so that's some good sensory details from the beginning. So I'm going to move on to the middle. So let's see, we decide to open it. It takes a couple tries, but we pry it open with a rock. Okay, inside is what looks like buried treasure. Okay, oh, I can add lots of sensory details here. I'm picturing how heavy the rock is when I pick it up. I'm going to write that down. And I can also picture what it's like to see the treasure. I think it'd be glittering and shining in the sunlight. So I'm going to write that down too. Okay, so I'm going to stop here with my planning, but you would continue until the very end of your story.
All right. And that's one common mistake. A lot of times we're really good with just telling what happened, but we forget those sensory details that actually make it interesting to read.
All right, did you see what I did? I followed these steps. Number 1, make a box for the beginning. Number 2, in the box, write what happens in the beginning. Number 3, below the box, put bullets telling how you show that event, sensory details, dialogue, etc. And number 4, repeat for the middle and the end.
All right. Give me a thumbs up or a happy face
How
in the
do you
chat.
organize
Woo!
your thoughts
Oh,
when
stop.
writing?
Stop. We're done with that one. If you're with me so far, because the next lesson is really crucial. All right. This next lesson is all about writing a hook. I get a lot of writing, and this is from fourth, fifth, and sixth graders, a lot of writing that say things like, in this paragraph, I'm going to tell you about. Don't ever do that. The reader the reader is going to figure out what the paragraph's about just by reading the paragraph. You never start off with a sentence like that. You have to start off
That's
with
what I always try and do that, but I think sounds kind of funny too, and my mom thinks it sounds wrong.
I know. I think that that's maybe a little bit more appropriate if you're writing an essay, like a nonfiction type of thing. But when you're writing a story and narrative type of pieces, you want it to be as interesting as possible. So there's something called a hook, and there's lots of different types. We're going to learn about just a few. A hook can be something like a interesting question. That could be like your first sentence. A really powerful statement. Sometimes that's a hook. Um, but anyway, I'll go on and let them tell us a little bit more about it. There we go, and I'll make it full screen. Here we go.
How do you make your readers want to keep reading what you write? In this lesson, you will respond to a prompt by starting with the hook and including sensory details to show and tell the reader what's happening. Let's review. This is the prompt that we're going to be writing to.
Yes,
it says,
we know.
Imagine that
Okay, we're going to skip that part because
we
we know.
appears to be very old. Write a story that tells what happens next. We also made a plan in our last lesson about what we were going to write using boxes and bullets.
Lots of details.
All right. A common mistake you might make is telling the reader what happens and not including sensory details to show the reader what happens. All right, I'm going to follow these steps. Number 1, play the movie of the event in your mind. Number 2, choose an interesting sensory detail or piece of dialogue to put at the beginning as your hook. And number 3, add more about what you saw, heard, smelled, felt, etc. All right, the first thing I need to do is I need to play the movie in my head. So I'm going to do this so I can start thinking of a hook. That's something interesting that catches the reader's attention.
Dialogue can be a hook.
So now
definitely.
I'm going to choose an interesting detail or piece of dialogue to put at the beginning. Now, I remember when I planned the beginning, I wrote down that the leaves were crunchy. I think I'm going to start with that detail. I want to make it really interesting to the reader so they'll want to keep reading. All right. I could write, it's fall and there's leaves on the playground. That's not very interesting at all. What about fallen leaves crunch under my feet as I run across the playground? That's a lot more exciting. I'm going to write that. All right, the next step is to add more about what I saw, smelled, heard, felt, etc. Okay, so I'm going to add some more. I like that piece of dialogue I put in my plan. I'm going to also add some more details to that so that the reader also knows what's going on. Okay, so it's going to say, whoa, do you see that over there? I yelled at my friend Carolyn. I'm also going to add that we stop and run over to an old, dirty box peeking out of the leaves. All right, did you see what I did? I followed these steps. Number 1, play the movie of the event in your mind. Number 2, choose an interesting sensory detail or piece of dialogue to put at the beginning as your hook. And number 3, add more about what you smelled, saw, heard, felt, etc. Now I want you to try that with your writing.
Oops, there we go. Ha! Stop. All right, so she could have written a paragraph that started off with something like, I'm going to tell you about the box I found at recess. And that wouldn't have been very interesting, right? That doesn't hook the reader. But instead, she
Not really.
she started off with a really good sensory detail about what it was like outside and the crunchy fall leaves all around her. So much more interesting, catches the reader's attention. Okay.
Because really, if you say that you found a box, then it sounds like you found a cardboard box in the middle of the playground.
Well, I don't think it was a cardboard box because remember she gave us the details that it was an old, dirty, dusty box. So
Right.
you can kind of picture in your mind that maybe it's like an old, buried treasure type of looking box. So
Because, like, you want to give details. Because if you don't give details, then, well, it sounds like you found a boring box.
exactly. So whenever you're trying to do this, just think of your five senses. Think of what you might have heard, what you might smell, what you would hear. I probably would have added something about the whistling winds of the fall breezes whipping around my hair or something like that. And then, of course,
My hair 5 feet up in the air.
and of course, if it's appropriate, maybe what you would have tasted or something like that. Okay. I would like to do just a little check of your understanding, and I want you to type one thing in the chat that you learned just now about narrative writing. One thing, maybe the most important thing that you just learned about narrative writing. That's story or fiction writing. Okay, and maybe you can share it with everybody so everybody can kind of read it. Good, good. Very nice. So I'm getting, it has to include a lot of creative details. It has to be very descriptive. It's fiction and it includes sensory details. There's a very big difference between narrative writing and essay writing. Make it fun and hook the reader. These are all great. So you guys learned quite a bit. I can see that already about narrative writing. The first sentence needs to be a wow type of sentence. Good, Claire. And that you can use all five senses for those details. All right. Very good. You guys are getting this. So let's switch gears a little bit. And if you want to come back to this later, it's linked on your agenda and you can watch, any of these lessons, number 5, 6, 7. It continues with the same prompt. Okay. But I'm going to move on to a very different type of writing, which I have also seen every single year. That's persuasive writing. It's when you're trying, and we did a little bit of this actually earlier in the year when we were writing our persuasive letters or plays or speeches. You guys remember that? You should. We were talking about space exploration funding. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, this is
I remember it.
Like it was yesterday.
like it was yesterday. Well, perfect.
Yeah.
This is an also very serious type of writing. And okay, I wonder if I should start at lesson 1. I wonder what they're talking about. Because we're not going to have to brainstorm a topic because a lot of times they just give you the topic. Let's see. Let's see what number 2 starts with. Okay, yeah, we're going to start here. So this is your nonfiction type of writing. And it looks like they're talking about school lunches being nutritious. We need to persuade people. This is what we're persuading them. Okay.
How do you write a strong thesis statement? In this lesson, you will learn how to write a strong thesis statement by using BOSS. Let's review.
And some of you are probably wondering, what's a thesis statement? Basically, guys, that's your very first introductory sentence.
Opinion is a statement that can be disputed. That means, can I agree or disagree? Let's look at an example. A dog sweats with his tongue. I could look that up to see if it's true. It can't be disputed, therefore it's not an opinion. Dogs make the best pets. Well, I could look that up, but there would be people that agreed and disagreed, therefore it's an opinion. Let's also review where we're at in the writing process. Stage 1 is to generate ideas. Stage 2 is to write drafts. And Stage 3 is to revise and edit. We're in Stage 2, writing drafts. A common mistake. A common mistake is not being able to defend your opinion. Let's look. Dogs should not be left in the heat all day. But why? I can only really think of 2 good reasons. Therefore, it's not strong enough. In our core lesson, we're going to look at some questions to help us. Writers develop a strong thesis statement by asking themselves 3 questions. They are what makes our thesis statement the boss. They are also the steps we'll take in the lesson. Let's take a look. B. Ask, is it broad enough? Can I think of 3 reasons to support it? O. Ask, is my thesis statement an opinion? S. Ask, is it a statement? Broad opinion statement. The boss. Ask, is it broad enough? Can I think of 3 reasons to support it?
Okay, so you need at least 3 reasons to support your opinion, which is also your thesis statement when you're writing a persuasive type of piece. So if you are not able to come up with 3 reasons, well, you got to at least have 2. They're asking you to generate your own topics on TCAP and those type of tests. They will give you the topic.
Okay. In other words, can I tick off 3 reasons that I can support my opinion with? Well, when I was brainstorming, I came up with a problem that there are 6 kids in school and a solution about nutritious lunches. My statement that I'm working with is schools should have nutritious lunches. I know the part of the reason my students come to school sick is not they're not eating well enough. It makes them tired, so they can't get proper exercise, which also keeps us healthy. I think that sometimes students don't eat a healthy diet because what they know to be healthy doesn't taste good. I know some great vegetable dishes though. Ever taste potato casserole? Hmm. If we learn things in school, then they will stick for the rest of our life. Let's take a look. Eating healthy at school gives you energy. Eating healthy at school will have a positive experience. Eating healthy at school teaches lifelong lessons. Well, I've got some great thinking here. All right. Yes, I have a broad topic. I can list 3 reasons to support my opinion. My statement is well on its way to being the boss. Oh, is my thesis statement an opinion? Can I agree or disagree? Schools should have nutritious lunches.
Yep.
Could somebody agree or disagree with this? Well, I don't think people would say that children should be sick and that nutritious lunches are not important. So I think my statement is a little weak. I could make it stronger by adding to it. What else about lunches will make it strong? Well, it's not only important that it's nutritious, they got to eat them. Tasty. I don't think everybody would agree that they need to be tasty. This will be my job to convince them. So, yes, can it be argued or disputed? It's an opinion. Now I've got my O. I'm well on my way to having a boss thesis statement. Ask, is it a statement? This may seem like a no-brainer, but a lot of times when we are brainstorming ideas, they turn out to be questions we want to answer and not opinions to support with evidence. So let's see. Schools should have tasty and nutritious lunches. Does it ask or tell? There are no question words like who, what, where, when, no question marks. This is definitely a statement. Now I have the letter S. I have spelled boss, and my thesis statement is definitely the boss.
Do you guys remember any of your thesis statements from your persuasive speeches or letters or the play that you wrote? Do you remember your very first sentence? Was it something
Yup.
like space
I
funding should be?
Mhm.
Okay, go ahead. Give me an example. It might not be exact, but what do you remember as your thesis?
I think I said for the speech, I did the very first sentence. I think I said, in this speech I will describe blah blah blah. That was in my first draft, and then I can't remember what I did in my final draft.
Oh, okay. Well, as long as it was an opinion, it was supported by 3 different reasons, then you probably had a pretty
Hello.
good thesis.
Um,
Go ahead.
my first sentence was space exploration gives people jobs, like making robots.
Oh, that's right. It was something to the effect of space exploration should be continued because it supports job growth. It was something to that
Yeah.
effect. And that's an opinion, and you had 3 reasons to support it. So that's perfect. Okay,
Okay,
I'm gonna move on because she takes forever doing the same type of thing. Um, Here we go. So you're pretending that TCAP gave you this prompt about nutritious lunches. And then now your next step is going to be making your plan. Because remember, you plan writing all the time. Okay.
how do you develop supporting ideas for your thesis statement? In this lesson, you will learn how to develop supporting ideas for your big idea by asking questions and using precise words. Let's review. Topics for opinion thesis statements need to be something the author cares and feels strongly about.
All right.
In order for a writer to spend time on a topic and persuade the reader, their topic needs to be special to them. It needs to be something that they've worried, felt angry, or sad about. Any topic has the potential ability to be important. The key is that it has to touch you, the author, before it can touch someone else. When writers write about what they care about, they are able to develop the reasons to support their thesis statement. As a writer, check.
Okay, we're going to go on because sometimes you don't have a choice about what you're going to write about. But we need to see how you're going to make your plan um, for this type of writing.
Students won't get sick. Hey, wait a minute. Is it being
Let's back up just
a
a little.
reason? Kids will be healthy. Students won't get sick. Hey, wait a minute. Is it being healthy and not getting sick the same thing? Nutrition is important. I think I'm saying the same thing here too. Healthy, won't get sick. Nutritious and nutritious, same reasons, different words. In our core lesson, we have 3 steps. 1. State your opinion and your 3 reasons. 2. Question yourself to expand your thinking. And 3. Rewrite reasons in complete sentences. All right. State your opinion and your 3 reasons. Your opinion has become your thesis because you were able to list 3 strong reasons. We're going to take these 3 strong reasons and bulk them up like a bodybuilder so they can stand on their own and also carry the support of our thesis. Let's look. Schools should have tasty and nutritious lunches. All right, reason number 1, gives you energy to exercise. 2, positive healthy eating experience. And 3, teaches lifelong lessons. We're going to focus on positive healthy eating experiences in step 2. Step 2, question yourself to expand your thinking. Positive eating experiences is a statement, but how much does it relate to my thesis? I knew what I was thinking. Is it strong enough to stand on its own? Would my readers know I was talking about my thesis if it was all by itself? No, it's not. If I were to say this alone, it could be about many things. To help me be more specific, I'm going to use questions to say more. All right, what schools? Why do I think this? I think that sometimes students don't eat healthy because they don't like the way it tastes. But I know some good vegetable dishes. That potato casserole, yum. But why schools? Well, schools are places where students take risks all the time, and tasty new foods are risky. They learn new games and ways to learn. Why shouldn't they also learn that food can be good for you and taste good? Step 3 tells us to expand your sentence and add another sentence. Our job is to get our thinking into a statement that is strong enough to stand on its own and still point back to the thesis statement. So I need to help my reader know why schools would help. What's the need? All right, here's my statement. Positive, healthy eating experience. All right. Well, students, many students, let me think. Well, they don't know that healthy food can taste good. All right, so what? So I've got to remember to stay so focused on my thesis. Schools, schools should be places, and my reason. All right, where students could take risks and have positive experiences with nutritious food. All right, so I've thought that through a little bit. I think I've got it. All right. Many students don't know that healthy food can taste good. Schools can be places where students take risks and have positive experiences with nutritious food. All right, I love it.
Okay, so what she just did here is she took her first reason, which you're looking at over here, positive, healthy eating experiences, and she expanded on it. So she could probably make her first reason an entire paragraph. Then I would say her second reason, whatever it was, can be her second paragraph, and she would obviously expand upon it, like you're kind of seeing here. Um, Also, so anyway, I'm getting a couple questions in the chat. So everybody was supposed to show up at 9:30 today, and then we're going to end maybe about 10:30. But if you accidentally, showed up at 10:15 instead, it's not a huge deal. I've recorded this. Don't worry. You're going to be fine. All right. So what we're doing right now, for those of you who did just show up, is we're looking at two different types of writing that you're going to see on TCAP. So let me get back to my agenda. The first that we looked at together was narrative type of writing. That's story writing and fiction type of writing. And then we just looked briefly at persuasive writing, which is a nonfiction type. There's also two different types, I should say. There's persuasive or essays. I've never seen them ask you to write an essay, though, on TCAP. So, okay. Give me a thumbs up or a happy face in the chat if we're all together and ready to go on. Okay, so for those of you who just watched this little lesson on persuasive writing, type one thing into the chat that you learned that was new. Oh, good. Adam, you should cut and paste that and share it with everybody. Okay, so maybe one thing that you learned about nonfiction or persuasive writing that was new. Did anybody learn something about thesis statements? Good. Sienna says BOSS, the acronym BOSS. Good. All right. You need to have at least 2 to 3 reasons to support whatever your opinion is. Perfect. All right. So we definitely have some really good ideas. Adam, why don't you cut and paste what you sent to me privately and share it with everyone in the chat?
How do I do that?
Oh, well, here, I'll do it for you. Let me just go back up to it because he wrote a lot that he learned. Give me just a second to find it. Okay. All right, so I'm going to paste another thing. You definitely need reasons to support it. Your very first sentence is called your thesis statement, and it needs to be a strong opinion. Yes, you need to throw in answers to who, what, when, where, and why. Okay, good. And it's nonfiction writing. Perfect. All right, guys. So obviously I have these linked for you. You can go back and watch any of the other ones because we only watched a couple of the series. But now we're getting kind of short on time, so we're going to move on. Oh my goodness, look at all this stuff that I planned. Okay, so I overplanned a little bit. Let's skip ahead. Let's see what I have here for word problem strategies. I want to just show you these, and you can play with this on your own because it's linked for you. Word problems are probably one of the lower things that we test on in math. So I was telling the kids who showed up at 9:30 that most of our scores, if they're low, it's usually in writing. That's why we started with writing. But now let's look a little bit at word problems. So what you're seeing here is primary 3, 4, 5, and 6. What that means is grade. In Japan, they're kind of different. They call it primary. So if you're grade 4, grade 5, or grade 6. So what these are a lot of different kind of cool examples of how to take a word problem and solve it by drawing pictures. Okay, so let me just show you a really quick one. So you can do this on your own, and it's really kind of cool. So, and of course, they should have put a comma there. There were 3,670 visitors at an exhibition. There were 1,565 men and 1,005 women. The rest were children. How many children went to the exhibition? So you can solve this without drawing pictures, but it's going to show you how to maybe use pictures to get a really clear picture and solve a word problem. Okay? All right, so you can see I'm just kind of clicking through and it will take you. I really like it because it goes step by step and it gives you an explanation of what they're doing. Okay, so give me a happy face in the chat if you think maybe you'll practice this a little later and look at some of these word problem strategies. Okay, they're fun, they're easy, and it just kind of shows you how to use pictures and a different way to solve them. All right. Whew, we are getting low on time here. For reading, one of the things that I was going to do is play this image game. We were going to make inferences, predictions, and then questions about each one of these images I have posted. And then we were going to practice writing about it. And of course, we always run out of time. But let's just look at one and we can make inferences and predictions, etc. All right. For those of you who are wondering, what is an inference? Sorry. An inference is what might be happening. So look at the picture and type into the chat, what do you think might be happening? What might be happening? Okay, good. They're eating. I'm going to take it a step further than just exactly what you see. I'm going to say what might be happening. Remember that that's a key word when you're making an inference, is maybe they escaped from the zoo. They're lost. They're escapees. So that's an inference, okay? Or here's another inference. What might be happening? Maybe someone stole them. They're about to be boarding a ship, a getaway ship here in a second. So an inference, guys, is taking it a step further from what you actually see, and it's thinking a little bit about what might be happening. Get creative. All right. 3 predictions. Let's make a prediction. What might happen next? That's funny, Tristan. That's good, Claire. Those are funny inferences. Let's make a prediction. What might happen next? The thief takes them to Japan. There's a high-speed chase. One poachers come and take them. Okay. One giraffe jumps overboard. I mean, we're getting kind of silly here, but you can see that this would probably be fiction writing, right? You're writing a story, so it can be as fun and exciting as you want it to be. All right. And then questions. If you ask yourself questions when you're writing or even reading a story, you're probably going to hit other things that people are wondering. Okay. So let's ask a couple questions. Let's ask some questions in the chat. Okay. Will they live very long away from the zoo? Who will save them? Is the one who's not facing us, is he antisocial? Charlie says he'll save them. Are they lost? Good. Are they stolen? Are they healthy? Are they adult giraffes? Are they senior citizen giraffes that need special medication? And so do they miss home? Good. You guys are funny. Some really funny questions there. But as you can see, you can take this and you can definitely write a really fun story from it. Okay. So we're at the end of our virtual classroom for today. I would like everybody to type one new learning that you had into the chat and share it with everyone so everyone can read it. Good, Sienna. She learned what an inference is. And so did Grace Elizabeth. So inferences was something new for you guys. What you think might be happening. Good. All right. So we all learned about inferences. Adam learned about persuasive writing with that very first thesis statement. Good. Emma learned what a thesis statement is as well. Good. Everybody seemed to like the acronym BOSS for that thesis statement. Is it broad enough? Is it an opinion? And is it a statement? Good. Tristan learned that there's many reasons for a persuasive essay, and he learned about fiction writing as well, and maybe how to hook readers. Good. All right, guys. Well, I definitely have all of these really important, kind of fun resources linked for you on this agenda. So you can go back and you can click on any of them. I would definitely suggest going to the word problem, um, little site there for math, word problems. Here's some practice prompts if you want to practice some of that writing that we learned about today. If you want to, play the game with some more of those images, they're linked for you as well. And then, of course, you have all of those important business items that if you came a little bit late to the virtual classroom, that you need to go back and make sure that you read. All right. So are there any questions from today, or are we good to go? All right, friends. Well, you can turn on your webcams and wave goodbye to everybody. Make sure you take a look at this, though. It was a really jam-packed agenda today. Lots of good resources for you. So,
Bye.
all right. Bye. And
Bye.
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 Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Jade, you're good to go unless you have a question. Tyler has a question. But everybody else, you're good to go. And I'll see you at TCAP. Maybe. Oh, the discussion. Yes, the discussion, Jade. That's right. Okay, cool. All right. Yeah, Jade, you could turn your microphone back on. Tyler, let me just show Jade where to find those discussions. Jade, what class was it in again?
It was kind of in all of them.
Okay.
Like, I sent you a screenshot on the email of it.
Let me just go to one of your classes then. I think you had some recently in health, didn't you? Or was it language arts?
I don't remember.
Okay. Sorry, it's taken forever, but it's getting there. Okay, maybe let's go to health and see if we could find a discussion. Okay, here we go. So here's a discussion. It looks like this. It has the little thing that looks like somebody's talking. So when you click on it, it's not real obvious where to click next.
That's what it looks like, but
Yeah.
it doesn't say add new topic.
It doesn't? Oh, okay. Well, then
Or it might.
you probably don't have to. But do you see this right here, how it's underlined when I hover over it, where it says click here to review your assignment?
Yeah.
So click there, and then it will definitely, tell you what your assignment actually is.
Oh, okay.
Okay. And if there isn't an add a new topic, then you don't have to actually type anything. Does that make sense?
Oh, okay.
If you do see add a new topic, then you would answer whatever question they listed for you here. Okay.
Oh, okay.
All right, cool. Well, thanks, Jade. And you're free to go. Tyler, did you have a couple questions?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.